One of the questions I get asked the most when it comes to bullet journaling is how do I keep up with my bullet journal? And I feel like one of the reasons I get that question is because people feel like they need to be investing all this time into creating the most beautiful, intricate spreads. I will admit, I love doing that. I think it's very therapeutic, but there are some weeks where I am just too busy to do that and I just need something I can use as soon as possible. So today I am sharing a collection of bullet journal spreads that you can do in less than 15 minutes. I'm bringing it back to the basics, focusing on creating really practical layouts. And then afterwards, I'll show you some simple ways to add decorative touches that will give them a little bit more life. If you're not already, make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell because I post lots of bullet journal content on this channel. With that being said, let's get that timer going. I wanted to focus on creating some really simple layouts for the planner spreads I most use, so I'm starting off with a month at a glance. When you don't have time on your side, the vertical monthly calendar is such a great option. It gives you the ability to track deadlines and appointments without needing to invest time into drawing a perfectly spaced out calendar. I then went ahead and outlined all of the other areas of the spread with a black micron in the size 08. You can do so much with just a black pen, and this is one of my go-tos, so it will be linked below. Another time-saving trick when it comes to creating boxes for lists is instead of creating horizontal lines that span the whole width of a box, just make a simple checklist left margin instead. You don't need a ruler to create it, but it makes your list look much more polished. For a quick decorative touch, one of my favorite things to do is swirly lines in the corners. Again, you don't need a ruler to create them. The only thing you need to do is focus on roughly following the pattern of the previous line and leaving similar spacing in between each line. As you can see though, mine aren't perfect, but that's okay. It's a design really that's meant to be imperfect. The month at a glance has a column for keeping track of events and also for potential habit trackers. And on the right page, there's sections to write down any big to-dos for the month and any goals. One of the spreads I always get requested to make are those related to budgeting and spending tracking, and this spread is an easy home to create for both. I am starting by drawing a parallelogram on the top left page to be a spot to write down a total budget for the month. If you're new here, I typically create budgeting spreads for keeping track of income that gets spent after fixed expenses like rent and bills. Then I went ahead and created boxes to keep track of 4 different categories of spending: food, clothing and beauty, home, and other. Regularly checking in with your spending is such a great way to bring some intentionality into your spending, to make sure you know where your money is going. It's so easy, especially with credit cards and paying with our phones these days, to forget where our money goes. And if you have something like a spending tracker keeping you accountable, that can inspire you to make good spending decisions. The left column of the table is a spot to write down the purchase and/or purchasing location, and the right column is for keeping track of how much was spent on that purchase. And of course, each table has a section for a total at the bottom. The bottom of the right page has a rectangle for writing down the total amount spent at the end of the month, and hopefully it'll be a number less than the budgeted total spend. Figuring out what to eat every day is always such a task, so this next page is designed to make the process a whole lot less painful. I started off by drawing out 3 rectangles to be a place for writing down meal ideas for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Honestly, taking time to brainstorm ideas can sometimes be half the battle when it comes to meal planning. Once you have those ideas, it's so much easier to drop them into your schedule. The page on the right is a place to write down something you're grateful for each day. This is such a simple spread to put together, but it has such powerful impact if you fill it in daily. I'm a big believer in the importance of daily expressions of gratitude. It's one of the fastest ways I'm able to gain some perspective in my life when I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed. And once again, I also brought back the swirls to spice things up a bit, make things a little bit more swirly, a little more interesting. Of course, I can't do a bullet journal video without showcasing a weekly spread. That would be insane. And this one is a really simple vertical layout that I use as a base for a lot of spreads. even the more intricate ones. Each day of the week has a designated column, and to keep things even for the eye, I made an 8th column to be a place for a general to-do list for the week. The vertical layout is always one of my favorites because it gives you a lot of room to plan out your day and also gives you the option to add in extra trackers. So for this spread, I used horizontal lines to designate an area for writing down any event or appointments at the top, to-do list items in the middle, and a meal planner at the bottom for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in case you didn't want to create a dedicated meal planner spread on a separate page. You could even add habit trackers to each day, a sleep or study log, and or gratitude entries directly into your weekly. The point I'm really trying to get at here is that the options are truly endless. So as you can see, in less than 14 minutes, I was able to create some really functional spreads for planning out a full week. But I'm going to show you now how to also simply add some personality to them by using one colored dual brush pen. Again, I want to demonstrate how little you need to create fun spreads, so here we go. The Tombow you'll see me use throughout this portion of the video is a Tombow in the color 228. I'll include a link in the description box below if I can find one, but using a marker to create a drop shadow behind boxes is always a quick way to make a box pop out a bit more. On the calendar portion, I added horizontal green lines on the dates that mark the beginning of a new week. This is a way to add color and also even more functionality to the spread. And then to clean lines up, I bordered everything with a black micron to give it a bit more polish. Once again, with the budgeting spread, I added some drop shadowing to the main boxes I wanted highlighted, the budgeted amount, and the total amount spent. It also felt really natural to bring some attention to each section's total, so I decided to add a strip of color to the last line of the rectangles as well. Headings are always a natural place to add color because it helps pull the focus in that direction, so I highlighted the categories of the meal ideas spread and also the dated line of the gratitude log. For the weekly spread, I didn't want to clutter it with too much color, so the drop shadows were another great option here. And since I don't imagine myself needing a to-do list that was quite so large, I added a diagonal line pattern on the bottom right to add a fun pattern moment to an otherwise pretty minimal spread. I also added some pre-made dots to the to-do list, and I bordered the side labels to clean everything up. But as you can see, as a whole, I didn't add anything too wild to the spreads after making the basic layout, but I think what I did add gave the spreads an extra bit of personality flavor. So there you have it, easy spreads that are practical to do even during your busiest seasons of life. Hopefully this video gave you some inspo and showed you that you can make visually pleasing spreads without investing too much time into them. And that's the awesome part about bullet journaling is some weeks you can take a step back and go more minimal. Some weeks you can get really creative and go with the scrapbooking effect, which is the layout designs I tend to do in my regular plan with me's. There's so much freedom in the system, and that's what's amazing about it. You can really customize it to fit your needs. If you want to see me put together more easy minimal spreads, let me know in the comment section down below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you all very soon. Until then, bye everyone.
Wish I could say I was finally over you, but that's not the truth. Everyone always keep falling in love again. What's wrong with them? I don't understand. Maybe it will pass by. Someone save me before I pass out. I'm too